It's another Saturday, another time to dive into the capital market and focus on the activities in the preceding week. So it's going to be a profitable 30 minutes here on Channels Television. You're welcome to Capital Market. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's start with a review of the market. Let's go to Europe now. Stocks closed higher on Friday as investors digested economic data and corporate earnings from across the continent. The pan-European stock 600 finished 1.1% higher, with autos jumping 2.6% to lead gains as almost all sectors and major bosses closed in positive territory. July's flash Purchasing Managers Index readings on Friday showed Eurozone business activity growing at its fastest pace in more than 2 decades as an easing of social restrictions and expansion of vaccination programs unleashed pent-up demand. UK retail sales grew 0.5% in June after a surprise pullback in May, according to the official figures published on Friday. However, the country's economic recovery ran into a wall in July as the number of people instructed to isolate by the government's Test and Trace app soared due to rising infections. The IH says market flash PMI dropped 57.7 in July from 62.2 in June. Earnings season continued to gather steam in Europe, with Tails, Signify and Lonza along those reporting second quarter results on Friday. We move to Asia now, where shares were mixed as investors monitored Chinese tech stocks in Hong Kong after regulatory concerns resurfaced. At Friday market close in Hong Kong, shares of Chinese tech firms listed in the city tumbled. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell 1.45% to 27,321.98. Shares of Didi stateside plunged more than 11% on Thursday. Earlier in July, the firm was forced to stop signing up new users and also had its app removed from the Chinese app stores due to alleged collection and use of personal data. In the U.S., equities rose on Friday, with the major averages hitting new records as they overcame concerns about economic growth from earlier in the week. The Dow closed about 35,000 points for the first time ever, bringing its gain for 2021 to more than 14%. The blue chip average rose 238.20 points, which is 0.68%, to 35,061.55, gaining a fourth straight day. It made the 1,000-point trek rather quickly, having closed about 34,000 points for the first time ever back in mid-April. The S&P 500 gained 1.01% to 4,411.79, and the Nasdaq Composite climbed 1.04% to 14,836.99, both new closing highs for the benchmarks. We move over to Nigeria. Now, it was a short trading week, but the bulls regained dominance of the market. We observed that investors flocked into shares of Total on the back of impressive Q2 2021 earnings release, accompanied with an interim dividend of 4 naira. Dangote Cement, due to expectation of the second tranche of its share buyback program based on the preceding. Then the All-Share Index advanced 1.9% week on week to close at 38,667.90 points. Accordingly, the month-to-date gain rose by 2%, while the year-to-date loss moderated to -4%. However, activity levels were weak as trading volumes and value declined by -11.1 week on week and 52.1 week on week, respectively. Specifically, investors' interest in Total, Guinness, and Dangote Cement were the primary drivers of the positive performance this week. Performance across the sectors was broadly positive, save for insurance, which was down 0.7%, index that closed in the red. The oil and gas was up 7.5%, industrial up 4.1%, consumer goods up 0.6%, banking up 0.4%. And talking about a short but positive week, well, let's find out what our guest thinks about this. We have Mr. Abel Ezekiel joining us to tell us what he thinks about a very short but positive. Good evening. Welcome to the show, first of all.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it was a very, I mean, for people like you had a lot of rest this past week, not like us. It was a very short but positive week.
It was a very good week. A very, very massive week, because the index or the capitalization moved back to over 20 trillion naira. And if you look at it this week vis-a-vis last week performance, the market was year to date down to minus 5.77. But now we have, it is even below minus 4.
Yes.
About 3.90. Courtesy of the week, just 3 days, the market moved 1.90.
That was a lot because, I mean, even one of the days, Total added 18 naira to its share price.
Courtesy of this impressive, like as you have rightly pointed out during the highlight, the second quarter result of Total, which the percentage increase was almost about 1,602% compared with last year performance. So it was really a very good week. And, you know, that is what we wish and we pray for. And the backdrop of the positive news that came into from Oando with SEC angle.
Yes.
Everything now just boosted activities and makes the market to regain some momentum. If you look at some of the stock that gained with the week, they are very good, massive companies. Oando, Guinness, Total.
Dangote Cement.
Dangote Cement. Unlike last where you are having all this bellwether, all this lowly capitalized, like TPG, small, all those.
You know, during the week also we had Qtix, you know.
Qtix.
Yeah, it was up like 19%, yes. But it didn't really make any impact in the market.
Yes, because of the number of shares outstanding of Qtix is expected. It's a medium cap company. So but the movement or the appreciation of its price may not have impact on the market like that because the outstanding shares is a little bit small. But definitely it contributed to the positive development we have within the week. And I believe just that 3 days is a mass, I would say to an extent, it's one of the best weeks so far this year. Let's say since end of January to date, is the best week.
Okay, because help us to understand. I mean, a lot of times when the market is not doing so well, you say, oh, there's liquidity issue, you know, you don't have, there's no fund for people to go into the market. And then suddenly it doesn't mean that Nigerians have this fund they're just keeping and they're just watching to see when something, there's something that is promising and then they just dive into the market and then later on they go back.
That's a factor because the truth is that a lot of factors contribute to market performance. You understand? Market hearsay, the state of the economy, the purchasing power of the citizenry, even to an extent the participation of domestic and foreign investors in the market. All these factors play a role. But if you now come to terms where you have good corporate earnings, it stimulates the market, it boosts the market because to an extent, it's not as if investors they are looking for avenue where they want to get the best for their money. So if you have seen a company that give you, because that's essence of SEC rule and NSC rule, post-listing requirement, that you say every quarter you must release or you must send your
But last quarter, it wasn't so attractive or it did not move investors so much. Last earnings quarter.
Last earning quarter, most of them were not too fantastic, as it were. So definitely, if you look at it, even before then, most of the stock too, some of them had been seriously overpriced because of, as of last year, you see the index move over 50%. As at end of last year to even end of January. So, to an extent, the market has actually, some of these stock has actually been overpriced. Some of them are fairly priced, to be candid. But to an extent, the result, by the time they start coming in, investors will start repricing some of these assets as well, repricing them as it were, so that at the end of the day, you don't lose your money because everybody wants the best.
Want to use their money to make more money.
More money. And you want to bet for your money.
Yes. So, all right, so let's see what else happened during the week. Moving to the Debt Management Office now, there was a report that federal government bonds worth 150 billion naira for July, which were auctioned on Tuesday, were oversubscribed by 136.11 billion naira. The total subscription received from investors from the bonds was 286.11 billion naira, comprising of 56.41 billion naira for 13.98%, February Federal government February 2028 bonds, 73.44 billion naira for 12.4% of federal government March 2036 bonds, and 156.26 billion naira for 12.98% federal government March 2050 bonds. A total of 138.07 billion naira was allotted, comprising of 31.71 billion naira, 51.16 billion naira, and 55.2 billion naira, respectively. The bonds for auction on July 19, 2021 had a settlement date of July 23rd, 2021. Mr. Ezekiel, once again, people have found where to put their money.
Exactly.
At least they saw where to put their money last week.
Yes.
And I think we have another one, a treasury bill coming up.
That's coming up.
So it doesn't matter really how tight liquidity is. If it's attractive, if it's promising, then investors will find it.
And if in the bond market, which is the long-term or the kind of a long-term aspect of the capital market, though capital market says for long-term, you find that that's where most corporate players they dominate, all these pension funds, all the PFAs, all the insurance companies. And when you now have it, so look at some of the yields that is there, 13.98, 13%, and the rest of them. So if you have a scenario that keeping money at the bank give you about 4%, 5%. Here you have somewhere that give you, and you know, investment or investing in federal government bond is regarded as a low risk or a no risk venture, as it were, because you are sure that definitely government will not disappoint. It's more like the sovereignty of the state is involved in this category, and about three kind of tranches. 50 billion each. And remember, federal government wanted to finance this year appropriation to the tune of 2.343 trillion naira, which they want to borrow from the domestic market to finance 5.60 trillion naira in the Appropriation Act of 2021. So definitely more of this offering will come, and more of these corporate bodies will take position in some of these instruments, so that at the end of the day you are sure of the return, and that is where we only have issue with the capital market segment of the because it's regarded as a risky kind of investment.
That is with the federal government. Sure. And MPC starts on Monday.
Yes.
You know, to be concluded on Tuesday. What impacts do you expect it to have on yields, on the market and all?
As it stands, the MPC, to an extent, they may not take any decisive step. They want to moderate the economy.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of countries are just holding their rates.
Exactly.
South Africa.
Exactly.
I mean,
you won't want to destabilize or to put the system, you know, in a fragile situation. You want
so you see MPC holding rates again.
They will hold the rate to an extent. And again, if you look at it, inflation had actually, though it's moderating to an extent, it moved to about 70.98 before it started coming down to. But consumer price index, the rate is really high over there. The cost of foodstuff and all those of high over there.
I mean, when you talk of inflation now, it seems like a sensitive matter.
Very sensitive.
Yes, we have it moderating in the figures, in the numbers.
Yes.
But then we go into reality, or you just talk to the average Nigerian,
yes,
and they tell you they don't see the moderation.
Yes, on the street, is then from what you have, you know, from the boardroom or from the room, from the offices, as it were. Because on the street, I can tell you that the rate is quite high. I mean, based on the price people pay or people pay to buy foodstuff on the street of Nigeria.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
So I think CBN will come up with a kind of holding the rate as it is to stabilize the economy, so that they'll see how those policies would take effect, or the effect you have in the economy moving forward to the third quarter of the year.
All right, Mr. Ezekiel. Well, you're still with us. We still have more discussions to hold. So we'll just take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion. Some other things that happen in the market, especially you don't want to miss the discussion on the Securities and Exchange Commission and O&O. Join us in just a moment. Welcome back. You're still watching Capital Market on Channels Television. Well, some of the things that happened during the week is that BLC Gas PLC published its second quarter report for the period ended June 30, 2021. The company, for the 6 months period, grew its top and bottom line figures year on year. For the 6 months period, the company reported a turnover of 1.77 billion naira, up by 19.96% from 1.47 billion naira reported the previous year. Profit after tax grew by 27.30% to 168.43 million naira from 132.31 million naira reported in the second quarter of 2021. Earnings per share increased year on year by 27.30% to 40 kobo from the EPS of 32 kobo. At the share price of 7 naira 70 kobo, the price to earnings ratio of BLC Gases stands at 19.03 with earnings yield of 5.26%. Well, quickly also talk about Total. Total financial report is one of the major drivers during the week. Like we earlier said, the green zone, we put the market in the green zone. For the period ended June 2021, the revenue was at 151.3 billion naira after recording a 42 change from 106.7 billion naira recorded the same period last year. Profit for the year stood at 8 billion naira, up from 537.18 million naira for June 2020. Shareholders' fund also recorded a 17% increase to 32.8 billion naira as at the 30th of June 2020. So there we have great results there.
Very impressive results.
Yeah, very impressive. Results.
We discussed BLC gases last time I was here.
Yes.
You know, it was based on the fact that the price has maintained some stability beyond 5 naira. NSC has, or NGX has moved it from a low to a medium capitalized company. Now, what boosted BLC gases from towards the end of last to at a point is a company that the prices over the years hover between 3 naira and 4 naira, but suddenly it's just skyrocketed because of the fact that there was a news that BLC Gas UK is divested its holding, since it's been holding, to another company we call TY Holdings, so which drove the price or move it haywire. But thank God, this earning has actually, you know, to an extent, has not dampened investors' kind of appetite as stand, though it has dropped. If you notice, it was about 12, 13 naira before, it now dropped down to 7 naira 70 where it is now. It's almost like that planned divestment is still hanging in the balance because now nothing has been heard about it. So investors' kind of appetite start waning, as it were, and that's what led to the price depreciating to where it is now. But coming to the earnings, as you have mentioned, is impressive. It's a good one. It gives hope to investors in that company because, you know, to an extent, this COVID thing, the use of gas and all those stuff becomes very essential. So to an extent,
at least there are some good sides to the COVID.
Yes, exactly. Which to an extent is going to benefit the company as we speak. So definitely, but with any partial of about 40 kobo, compared with the price as at that time of 40 of what's it called 12 naira 13 naira, I think it's not badly. It's fairly priced. It's not badly priced, as it were.
All right, so let's go to the big story for the week. 2 years after it imposed sanctions on O&O PLC, the Securities and Exchange Commission has reached a settlement over the indigenous oil company in the overriding interests of shareholders of the company and the capital market. The company and some of its affected directors had challenged the said directives in a series of suits commenced at the Federal High Court. However, the company subsequently approached the Commission for a settlement of the matter, and both parties have now agreed to settle in consideration of the overriding interest of shareholders of the company and the capital market. The company had reached a settlement with the Commission without accepting or denying liability on the following terms: immediate withdrawal of all legal actions filed by the company and all affected directors, payment of a monetary sum, an undertaking by the company to implement corporate governance improvement, submission by the company of quarterly reports on in compliance with the terms of the settlement agreement. Mr. Ezekiel, this victory for who? Victory for who now?
For the market, for the shareholders. That is what I put. Victory for everybody.
Okay.
Uhandu over the years, this is a company that came into the market with a storm. It was formed 2003 after the acquisition through Ocean and Oil that was used to acquire Unipetrol. Unipetrol now acquire Ajib. That is what led to this Uhandu you are seeing today. Then, fast forward to 2013, 2012, 2014, the audacious acquisition of Konoko Philip, which that time we discussed on this program, that it will increase the daily production capacity from about 5,000 barrels per day to about 46,700 per day. And they pay almost $1.65 billion for that acquisition, which was financed from 50-50 from equity and borrowing until the storm came or started 2017, when two shareholders of Uhandu wrote a petition against them to SEC. As at that time, they were preparing for an AGM in Uyo in September. At the end of the day, you hold it, you don't hold the AGM, this and that. At the end of the day, the AGM went ahead. Then 2019, 31st of May, SEC now issued, even before then, as at that 2017, SEC directed NSC to place the stock of Uhandu on technical suspension. And at the end of the day, that 31st of May 2019, a directive came from SEC that interim management should be set up, that the board has to go and all those stuff. At the end of the day, the management went to court. At the last count, about 8 different suits is hanging between SEC and Uhandu. Some are giving conflicting kind of directives. Some, from analysis of the courts, some of the courts around this area will say they don't have jurisdiction. That is an investment security tribunal that has capacity to entertain such a matter because it's an investment stuff. While some other courts will declare that they have jurisdiction. So based on that, SEC now says, okay, let's maintain a status quo. So that's why, since that time till now, no AGM, no annual report. So investors are suffered. If you still want to go into the detail, or like I was saying before, as at 2010, Uhandu did the right at 17 naira. As at 2014 to 2015, they did the right at 16 naira. In fact, as at 2014 December, the right was about 22 naira. But because the market depreciated against Uhandu, so it was more or less like the right was even at a premium compared with the market price. So Uhandu now saw it and now brought the price down to 16 naira 50 kobo. I'm going to this to tell you that the shareholders are actually suffered over this period because no AGM, no dividend declared, and the price depreciating.
Is there any compensation? And now that the matter has been settled, moving forward now, victory for shareholders, victory for investors, but no compensation for the lost time?
No, there's no compensation because that is part of what you bear as a risky or as an investor, as a shareholder.
It's part of the risk.
It's part of, that's why there are a lot of oversight function from SEC to protect the investors' interest. And I appreciate the magnanimity of SEC and even everybody for them to come together.
The compromise.
At the end of the day, arrive at the compromise for the interest of investing public and their shareholders, that which is really one of the major cardinal principles that SEC is trying to uphold. And that's where, if you notice now, within 2 days, Rwanda has suddenly become a source of investors.
Yeah, the last
you understand?
So what lessons, because time is against us, what lessons would you say as an investor, a potential investor, what lessons do I learn from this? What do I look out for so I don't fall into this kind of...
Is to be diligent. Ask questions before you put in your money. Before you invest in a company, do a due diligence. Ask professionals. Ask them, what is the history or the performance of this company over the past 3, 4, 5 years?
You need to find out about the directors, the management.
Of course, because corporate governance is even a key factor in this matter, as it were.
Exactly.
You understand? So those are the things. Investors should be diligent. They should seek for professionals to guide them before putting their money in most of this company.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Abel Ezekiel, for sharing your thoughts with us on, well, the activity in the capital market for the week. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And you too.
All right. So it's been a great one here on the show, and I believe it's been a profitable 30 minutes for you back there. It's been Capital Market on Channels Television. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Amy John Mekwa.